and I'm very honoured to have a guy with me today who's a one-stop shop because he's both Simple Simon and the Pieman, RJ.
Good morning, everyone.
And it's a real pleasure to welcome to the programme for the first and hopefully not last time, Chef Chris Gallagher. How are you, Chris?
Hi.
How come it's taken you so long to turn up?
No, actually, we were. That's one of the memory lane. I was in here. It's got to be 10 years ago with with somebody from the Chefs Association and the all women's chef team. We had a quick chat with you about which was
with me.
Yeah. This is like.
I mean, it sounds like I'm being so rude, but
Quarter of a century ago, maybe.
Gosh. No, well, it was less than that, but maybe 10, 12.
What was this about? By the way, join us on Facebook Live. If you're a friend of Chris, tell all your other buddies that he's here. It's Morning Brew. That's the page.
Yeah.
Click live, and
We're celebrating.
Yeah,
We
we're
are.
celebrating.
Yeah.
we are.
We're celebrating nearly
Quarter
a
of a
quarter of a century, or I like to say 2/8 of 2 centuries.
This is what we're going to do today. RJ has very kindly brought a demonstration pie. I just want to see you push it in Chris's face, actually.
No, I'd rather that didn't happen.
As I said, I don't think it's worth it. This is too good of a pie.
I know. It's an
I am worth too good of a pie.
comedy pie. Yeah, so I thought what we do today is... you've been here for a good few years. You've chefed everywhere. You've cooked everywhere.
Yeah.
We're kind of pick Chris's brain, shall we?
Let's do it.
Anyway, get back. Tell me the end of the thing about the
Yeah,
ladies.
so I and the team manager, who was a local guy, also named Chris, came, and we were both so nervous. I think you had us in for about 2 minutes before we were like,
Was they going through my Uzi stage at that?
Well, there were
point?
too much dead space. We were just like, you would ask these very complicated questions about all women team, and we'd be like,
don't
it's
do it
all
again.
women, right? So,
Oh well, this is a bit of a myth about radio. This thing about we don't have dead air. We love that. We thrive on dead air. The days of speaking like this with no gaps whatsoever are called the 1950s, and I'm really glad about that because I do my share.
Are you
Awesome.
dating yourself now?
Am I dating myself?
Yeah.
No, it's just the way I'm walking. Tell me a little bit about
still illegal in
your career here, Chris. I mean, where would we have seen you do your shtick over
well,
the years?
I came to Hong Kong in early '94 to work at Dan Ryan's, back then still in Pacific Place, the flagship, and really one of the only. There were very few successful independent restaurants. There were a lot of bars.
Ah, that's a good
pubs.
point. Yeah.
Back then, it was mostly hotels, and so we were sort of starting a trend, which then grew up. I worked in Lan Kwai Fong with Alan Zeman and Paul Shuey, Lead Concepts, many different restaurants there, American Pie.
I'm sure we've got lots of mutual friends, but I daren't say any names because you're probably going to hate half.
Yeah,
of them.
they probably be angry. A good point.
Yeah.
Well, so those are public commodities anyway.
Yeah, so you're working your way through, yeah.
Yeah, and then
But you said American Pie.
yeah, American Pie.
All about pie, baby.
All
I
about pie.
remember that. Tell me what that was.
That was in Lan Kwai Fong. It was actually before RJ. We had a guy from the States who was our pie consultant. We also had a pie factory. Yeah, it's true. A very famous American baker who set up this. It was an American restaurant with featured homemade pies as the desserts, and
But still, it had to start somewhere, right?
yeah. Well, it was huge. Actually,
Now you have
one of I'm sorry to say this to you, actually, because you've definitely outdone me, no doubt. But I was the Handover Time magazine best dessert.
Wow.
Time magazine American Pie.
This was way back when you were knocking doors in Ohio going, have you,
Ding
have
dong.
you found God?
No, I was doing ding dong. That's an Avon lady. Come on, ding dong.
Ding
Avon
dong.
calling.
Have you found God? How about a pie? Yeah. No, that was long ago, and
Wow.
yeah, and then in '97 I met up with some friends, and we opened, created Fat Angelo's, which was a raging success.
Cool.
So I was the chef partner of that. And then I sold out of that. I brought Pret a Manger to Hong Kong. Well, they came to
What's
Hong Kong.
with the
I helped
swordfish
them.
sandwiches? I've never got that.
Yeah.
I don't eat fish at all, but like swordfish?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, no, we had some even weirder stuff than that back at the beginning. But Pret has always done that sort of very creative, small percent of the menu just to get people's attention. But everybody eats the crayfish sandwich or all day breakfast or BLT or something like that.
So that was interesting, RJ. So that was a first here. That not that brand, but that kind of concept.
Fat Angelo's.
No.
Pret.
Well, even Fat Angelo's in a way, but the whole concept of that kind of sandwich store where you literally pret à manger, you know,
Grab and go.
As crazy as it sounds, that hadn't been done before, perhaps apart from the convenience stores.
We had one of the funny things about Pret was I didn't understand it, and they took me to the UK for quite a bit of time to learn their ways.
Yeah,
because American sandwiches are mostly hot, right? So
Or big.
and big and
I must say,
right?
fantastic too.
Best
But
sandwiches.
we had these langers, they called them, these big open case dairy cases where people would grab and go. Right?
Yeah,
And nobody had that in Hong Kong. And I think...
and that's nuts because Hong Kong's always we're so stressed, we're so busy,
Right.
you know.
Right. Well, even the sort of convenience stores at that time had these stored cases.
This is true.
Wow.
Within 3 months of
Right,
Pret
yeah.
opening in Pacific Place, all the other places started throwing in a grab and go. It suddenly appeared everywhere. It was created by this.
That's interesting.
We at some stage this morning, if it's okay with you guys, want to get back to sandwiches. I've heard, and I love doing this, get the baguette and go for it, right? I've heard, RJ, that it's supposed to be, is it 3 cheeses and 2 meats or the other way round? Or 3 meats and 2
It's
cheeses?
2 cheeses, 3 meats.
That's awesome anyway. One of them's got to
That's
be
a sub.
One of them's got to be bologna, hasn't it, Chris?
Well,
Okay,
mortadella.
I love bologna.
Yeah.
Bologna.
I only eat mortadella. I don't
Mortadella.
eat bologna.
That's like
I've never had bologna.
That's a
but
posh bologna.
Posh
right?
bologna.
I've never had bologna though. But I've had mortadella.
Well, you know, it's from Bologna, right?
Listen, I'm just going to make notes for myself when we come back to it. I'm enjoying hearing your story.
Yeah, no. Well, sandwiches are great fun. So then
So we have Pret.
Yeah,
They
after
launched
Pret, I've
Hong
done
Kong.
a few small restaurants myself and worked for
What did you have for
City
Pret?
Super.
What did
Well,
you have
I
for
did a couple of different. I did a small restaurant on Kane Road. That's, of course, you know, as Hong Kong goes, they all come and go.
That is the problem. Even, I mean, really, let's tell ourselves we're not going to get on a rent whinge, but there up comes a great restaurant. People are lovely in there. The food's wonderful. Boom.
It's a problem. I mean,
Can't sustain it.
everybody knows it, and nobody has the guts to really
Well,
take it how long.
yeah, I wish. I mean, I'm not in your business. I haven't got a clue. But you know, as a punter, we all like going to our favourite places. And hey, how are you? And then she's had to leave
Well,
because of somebody else's, greed.
Yeah.
We've had this. My sous chef and I have had this argument about Fat Angelo's for, well, it's 18 years ago.
Yeah.
From then, we had an opportunity to buy, and that was in one of the financial crises.
Yeah.
To buy one of our shops, and we decided we're restaurateurs, not landlords, so we won't. We'll just rent.
Was that a good or bad move?
Well, he insists is a bad move because we'd still be there, and I insist if we had done that, I don't know, good or bad,
Hey,
we
listen.
would just be landlords.
It worked for Ray Kroc. That's how he became rich. He bought the land.
Right. But yeah, you'd
Still
become
a
a
crook.
landlord instead of a restaurateur.
I think it would've been
Restaurateur is
safe to buy.
hard work.
Huh?
During SARS in that period was a good time to buy land for.
It's
Yeah,
horrible, isn't it?
F&B
Because
business.
you're kind of mentally monopolizing on other people's misfortune, but that is the way of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, it's market.
With all these
economics.
restaurants now, I mean, you see it. They're popping up and popping out. In, out every week.
Such a
Sad.
shame. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
pretty
it's
good food.
it's tough, and as you know, I've lost more than I've made in restaurants in Hong Kong doing that. But it's also that creative destruction brings so many interesting. It brings tai tai pies. I mean, it brings these sort of innovative business opportunities and offers from all over. It brought Fat Angelo's. I mean, people were tired of the ridiculously expensive at that time Italian food,
And I mean, this was American kind of Italian food,
yeah,
wasn't
and
it?
it was casual, and it was tumblers instead of wine glasses and all this stuff, and that that didn't last past couple decades, but it ushered in lots
20.
of places now do
20 years, man. That's quite a long time in this town. That's
Yeah.
like
Lifetime.
Wagnerian.
It was very good, and we were very, very proud of it.
So what we're sort of tickling on here is not so much the food. I mean, that's almost like a secondary thing, unfortunately. It's the business side of stuff. Now, let me ask you, RJ, out and out, would you, I mean, your business is going great, would you ever consider, say, a shop in Soho, purely hypothetically, would you go that far?
Oh, I would have even before if the rents weren't so high.
Yeah, okay.
Because for us, we look at how many pies you have to sell to meet the rent.
It's quite a lot,
you,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Let's face it.
you look at it and you start doing the numbers because you have to pay for staff, you have to pay for cost of food, you have to pay for
Everything.
plasticware, pay all the paperware, all that stuff, rent, electricity.
Your wife's perving about you on Facebook,
Hey,
by the way.
baby.
She says you're looking fat. Stop now. It's like one of
So-
those. Yeah.
Well, this is
So so to go in Soho to get back, I would like to open up a true British pie and pub shop. Where you have the beers and you have pies. That's it. You may have chips and stuff, but it'd be so cool. But to do that,
Yes,
it'd be hard.
yes. I mean, it would. It's not all okay. It's not all about the idea. You've probably come up with a couple of great ideas in the past 10 minutes we've been talking. Oh man, I wish I'd done this.
Yeah.
But it's not about the ideas, is it?
No, it's
about surviving,
timing
too.
and it's so much, any business, so much of it is luck. I think if you're honest, it's really easy when you have a real success, like Tai Tai Pies or
But I mean, we're talking about him like he's not here. You are treating this a bit like a cottage industry. You are saying I belong here, and I know you'd like to get bigger, but you're like, I'm a bit of a cottage industry. I belong here.
Yeah, and our plans are to get bigger. And don't get me wrong, we want to grow. We want to grow.
Okay, a
outside Hong
condo
Kong.
industry.
But by myself, no, I can't. We can't keep feeding the fire ourselves.
Chris, here it is
So
for
we're
you.
trying.
Stay in Hong Kong. Do this.
Yeah, I could. Well, competition. That's a good idea.
But our decision was actually moving away from retail because of rent. 'Cause we had a shop, we had to close it because the rent just kept going up and up and up.
You
So
did. Where is Causeway Bay?
One Chai.
One try. Okay.
So we now do all wholesale almost. We do have retail, of course. I mean, you have to do retail.
But you have, so that's also, I mean, the Internet of Things has changed everything. You have.
Yeah, he can trace all
from
of his
working at
pies.
City Super, one of the biggest problems for all of those retailers is stock loss, right? Expiry dates.
Explain stock loss, would you?
Product expires. Product gets old. People haven't bought it yet. You have to
But
throw
it's
it
still
away, or you
perfectly
have
fine.
to discount it, right?
Best before date is actually best before only.
Right.
I mean, expired, but people
Yeah,
throw
but
it
it's
out.
still not. It's not as
Not
good,
legal,
so you
yeah.
have to discount it. So there's stock loss every day in a big supermarket. He doesn't have that because people click the order and they're getting their product, and that's a genius way that technology has solved some of those retail.
Is there a name for the business model you have? Seriously, before you give me some Weisenheimer stuff here.
I was trying to think of a good name.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us,
Argenomics.
blue? Isn't it called Blue Goods or something?
we're really a traditional company, but for us, we're most of our products, because we're doing wholesale, is frozen, and we shock freeze it. So for us, we have a 12-month shelf life on the shock frozen items.
This is new, isn't it? Shock freezing for you. For you.
No, I've been doing it for 7 years.
That's fairly new.
Okay, I've only been in business for 7 years.
If you're
but
a
it's okay.
if you're a
the
dog,
21st century.
if you're a dog, 7 years isn't long.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's 41, or it's whatever it is, 49. But again, these pies that you see we have right here. No, this is a short shelf life. You get 5 days.
You bet
because,
that is a short shelf life.
I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and
Well,
this is
mine's
what
5
I
days in
always
my
say
house.
this though: if you don't consume it, then you shouldn't have it, because if you don't want to eat that pie, don't
Hey,
buy
listen,
it. So-
they've been talking about food wastage this morning on Backchat, so
that's
perhaps we can give that a little PS. I mean, what actually happens when, for instance, Chris, I mean, in an operational restaurant, tell me about food waste and stuff.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm working for an international school, and we provide food to all sorts of different people, from adults through to little kids. And
Right.
at the end of the day, we have leftover. And we try to, every operator tries to repurpose that and use that in the next recipe or whatever, but there's always something left. And so there are some really good food charities that collect. Can I say them?
Yeah, the charities. of
Like
course.
Foodlink comes to my school every other day and picks up anything we think we
They
can't
are
use.
busy, right?
And they repurpose for people who don't have a secure food supply. So that's great. There's of course also, we compost like vegetable scrap. We compost it. There are other people doing composting right
Is
now.
there like a garden and stuff at the school?
Yeah, there is.
See, this is a prime example of how it should work. But I mean,
Yeah.
you are a minority.
Oh,
I
sure,
guess.
But it's getting better though. I mean, which is interesting. There are more and more restaurants, even in Hong Kong, in groups. It's really the groups that are doing it.
Yeah.
They're trying to do it.
Tell me this: which items? Foodlink is one of them, and they're very well known, right?
Yeah.
So, which items are they actually not allowed to take? But they probably say, "Well, we wish we could."
Well, one of the reasons that I think they're so successful is now I don't know what ends up at their end, what the final result is, but they take everything. They gave us a full sort of indemnity, which a lot of places, I remember with Pret a Manger, people wouldn't, indemnify Pret a Manger, so Pret a Manger couldn't give what they felt were expired or dangerous foods, right?
Yeah.
So now FoodLink has said, we'll take all the risk.
Oh, so just give us,
and we'll sort it out, and we'll figure out. And mostly what we're giving them is pasta and rice and already cooked food that if it's reheated.
What were they supposed to? What are these charities supposed to turn down? I'm sure it's ridiculous rules here.
It's they probably have to turn down anything uncooked with an expired date.
Okay,
So
is that fair? That's fair-ish.
When they first started, they wouldn't take anything was not packaged,
Right.
and that was hard for us because we were trying to give away our pies when we did events. And we can't take them; they're not packaged.
They're not packaged. Okay,
Right, they're open like this.
What
Yeah,
constitutes packaging? I mean, if you vacuum them
Any
you can't package.
sealed bag or box. So I can't just put them in a bag and hand them.
No, you can't. And actually,
It's changed a little bit now because people realize that.
that sounds fair.
It's still waste.
Because statistically, logic says that some of this food from other places might not be good.
Right.
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 You can't
might not be. You
step
never know.
around that, can you?
No.
That's interesting.
hard.
Well, and that's really hard. I mean, dumpster diving is all about that and stuff because we know that shelf life is an estimate, and it's a safe estimate. It's a cautious estimate.
Yeah.
Always.
Because we don't want to poison anybody. So
Hey, listen. I
there's-
mean, it
there's
happens in
always a
restaurants
margin.
every now and again,
time.
and
Sure.
you think those guys want to poison? Of course they don't.
No, of course not.
It's just
Yeah.
a thing.
But when I train my staff, I'm sure the same way. If for us, we'll make 500 small pies at a time.
Yeah.
So if we impact that filling for 500 pies, there's 500 people out there or more. Because if you share a pie, it could be impacted. So that's why you have to take it serious. It's not just one pie going to one person. Okay, who cares? It's a huge impact if you do things wrong.
Yeah, well, the thing is also, we all know that you could get a stomach bug really easily, but it always seems to be, what did I last eat, and where did I last eat it? It probably isn't the case.
Sure, more than likely, especially if it's severe, it could be a week ago. I mean, E. coli and stuff like that is
Could be also in
normally
the bathroom,
not so urgent.
not washing your hands. People
But
you
there's-
see all the
Could be
time.
your own self. Could be your
But
own
also,
family.
guys, we've got to go to the news second. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a blame culture in Hong Kong. Maybe there's a blame culture the world over.
The world.
I don't know. If you want to join the guys and ask any questions, we will get onto some food, but I'm just sort of seeing what Chris has been up to. Morning Brew, our Facebook page. I'm going to keep the camera rolling. In the meantime, let's get to the news.
Radio 3 weather.
Today, it is going to be mainly cloudy, 1 or 2 showers this morning, fresh easterly winds. Pretty much the same tomorrow, but the weather's going to improve gradually over the weekend. 24 Celsius, 82% relative humidity. 10:30, headlines with Sam.
The European Broadcasting Union is terminating its contract with China's second biggest broadcaster Mango TV after the channel censored the Irish Eurovision Song Contest entry over its depiction of a gay relationship. The EBU said Mango TV's censorship of 2 performances during a live transmission on Wednesday wasn't in line with its values. Bomb disposal experts are still defusing a £1,000 wartime device found yesterday at the Sha Tin to Central Rail Link construction site in North Wan Chai. Businesses and residential buildings have been evacuated, buses diverted, and the Wan Chai to Jim Sa Joi ferry service suspended. And President Trump has been giving a triumphant account of his domestic and foreign policy at a Republican Party rally in Indiana. But Mr. Trump also sounded a cautious note, saying he didn't want another Iran nuclear deal, which he claimed was badly negotiated. I'll have more news at 11 o'clock.
rthk Radio 3.
More news at 11 o'clock with Sam. Now, where were we? Let's say hello to some people on Facebook
Yeah,
right
let's
now.
do it.
We're still up there live. Go to our Morning Brew page. Of course, to Mary Beth. She says, sandwiches are the best. Which is hello.
That's a general.
She'll be reinventing the wheel next. Love her. And Steve Hackman. Good day, Steve. How are you? Dean Johnson. He says, love your work. There you go.
Thanks, Dean.
Thanks, Dean. And your dad.
Or was that you?
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Mom.
How you doing? All right, and
I
Sybil
wanna know
and
who
Sybil and
Dean's
Steve H. Yeah, let's carry on here. We were talking about food wastage. I did. Coincidentally, they were on about it this morning on Backchat, but it is something that we don't know the whole story about, and Chris is kind of unwrapping that one a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's really hard because what is waste? So peelings, right? I think
Compost.
some of the statistics we see, bones, peelings, are included. And so I think that's kind of a cheat. But yeah, we also know that people are throwing away real vegetables, real meat, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Grocery stores wasted. I mean, in the U.S., you should see how much is thrown out all the time.
Talk about health and safety through the roof, I should imagine.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
It's sad.
that's a common thing. There's Facebook groups in Hong Kong about Hong Kong supermarkets and all the stuff they're bunging at the end of the night.
This is really interesting. There's something I don't understand about the down-the-line supermarkets here. On one level, you can go into them and you'll get a pretty good deal at the end of the day because they've gone crazy about this, that, and the other. And then they put out cucumbers that are crawling with insects. And I mean crawling with insects.
Yeah. They don't have a shelf life.
What's the deal?
Well, so yeah, I mean, like unpacked raw vegetables don't have. So then it's up to the shop staff to figure out. Oh, this one is too far. We can't sell it.
Well, tell me this. If they didn't wrap... there's a whole issue about wrapping up vegetables. Yeah. What is that all about? But if stuff wasn't wrapped up and sweaty, etc., would it arguably last longer and be fresher on the supermarket?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's all got.
This is when you worked
life.
at... Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing about the complaints about wrapping is there's two cultures in Hong Kong in regards to this issue. There's the local people who want it wrapped because they think exposed to the air, exposed to other people's hands or sneezes, not fresh.
Hello, wash it.
Yeah. Well, of course. But then there's also the largely expat community who wants to reduce plastic, and that's really an important thing, right? So there is this the supermarkets are sort of squeezed between these two customers.
I'm in the middle on this one because I'm lucky. I live near a market, an awesome one, right? And it's filthy when you buy the stuff from the market. The first thing I do when I buy vegetables, tell me if I'm nuts here, is I give it a drink. I chuck it in the sink of water, and it brings it back to life for start, and it cleans it. Is that fair?
Chilled water is great for veggies. Storing them properly, some of them shouldn't even be in the fridge. Bananas or tomatoes and things like that. They do fine out on the shelf.
But most of your vegetables and produce, it will last long if it's kept the right temperature. Whereas in the grocery store, those open cases aren't really.
You notice, for instance, I mean,
well, not only the distribution.
Yeah,
they call these the hacks, don't they? You notice if you go, if I buy a piece of broccoli and it's tiny bit soft, chuck it in the sink, boing, great.
Yep.
It really brings it back to life.
Water crisps it up. Yeah,
I always say
it perks it up.
Ooh,
Is that what you say?
I always say give it a drink, but it really works. Yeah. So the stuff you've done recently, you're very lucky, Chris, because you can sort out the wastage and stuff. But do you happen to know if you are in a minority, really?
I think maybe in practice. Right, it's really hard to do here, and people are really interested. So it's coming.
It's good. What about you? Is there anything that you do in your production, RJ? Because I know you're very conscious about this. You don't want to waste much, but there's going to be some sometimes. Apart from give it to me and we eat it.
It is. I mean, waste is two sides. We try to waste product, and shock freezing prevents the waste of the product.
Okay.
And blast chilling. So everything comes out as blast chilled. Blast chilling helps preserve it.
Yeah.
The waste that I hate, and there's not much you can do about it, is like the dough. You have excess dough, but it has filling on it. You can't reuse it. I can't take a chicken pie dough that has chicken gravy on it and throw it into the mix and try to re-roll it. That's the hard thing. So
this is the business opportunity. I'm coming up with dough bites.
So what we do with that stuff, we do bites. What we do with the leftover dough is, as long as it's in good quality, we will make the characters that we put on our pie. So you get the top dough with the apples. We don't use the fresh dough. We use the dough, the trimmings and the things, which is still fine. Well, but that's what we do to help decorate.
But isn't also all of that? It's already for decoration probably fine, but it's already rolled and stretched.
Well, it is. Let's face it. That is how you know what's in the pie. You don't have pie dar, do you?
No, but again. So, but for us,
I'm here all week. Try to.
So we make a lot of characters. We'll do trays and trays and trays of characters, from chickens to cows to apples to letters.
So you guys, what I'm getting at here is
it's the wrong dough for a pie. Because to your point, you can't keep re-rolling it.
You guys can have extra fun in your business. And certainly you recently, because you're trying, you kind of not being wasteful, and somehow I'm not talking about feeling pious and holier than thou. It's just like this kind of works.
Well, it's the same thing as working. I know you've done some work with this too. We've talked about it before. Vegetarian, vegan is very big now, or people with dietary. You can look at it like chefs used to look at it. This is a chore. I hate these people. Whatever. Or you can say, this is where I can practice creativity. Right. Yes. This is where I can really do something different. put all my effort into it and try to figure out a novel solution, right? And I think that brings, it enlivens your work.
Hey, there's a message on our Facebook from Steve. He says, I can't stop looking at that pie. So I've done the pie cam. You can have the pie cam for a few minutes here, Steve. Keep looking. I'm going to go in as close as I can. Let's give it a go here. Yeah. Pie cam on Facebook Live. Carry on.
Go ahead.
What's in it? Let's make Steve drool a bit.
This is our coconut cream pie. And it's a fun pie. So we have a lot of variations of these cream pies. And one of my favorite, we call it the pina colada, but my mother always made it for me as a kid growing up, is the pineapple coconut cream.
Yeah.
And we call it pina colada because, it makes it more fun. But we have all variations from banana coconut, just coconut, pineapple coconut. The banana coconut is a fun one.
I didn't ask you for a sales pitch here. I
saw
fun.
this movie.
And it's like,
I just merely said that Steve likes your pie. Blimey. The Simple Simon bit is raising up above the pieman bit now, yeah. So anyway, boys,
you're harsh.
What's next for you?
Well, I don't, I'm still looking. I really found by accident a friend of me asked to come to Hong Kong Academy and re-envision.
Oh, that's right, you've been teaching.
No, cooking. Cooking for
and
kids.
Teaching.
Yeah, a little bit.
Good.
I work with the kids and stuff. But,
RJ told me this. I'm sorry. I thought you were at the Hong Kong Culinary Academy.
No.
Get out of here.
So it's a pre-K through 12 school.
Gotcha. I know. Yeah.
And I work with the kids a lot, but it's been so much fun, and I'm surprised.
So you're actually a dinner lady.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm lunch lady, dinner. So I'm hoping to do that when I get back to the States. I'm going back to the States. Actually, it kind of breaks my heart. I love Hong Kong and would stay here forever. Yeah. But I have family things, and
yeah, of course.
You need to go.
RJ,
5 years.
500 says he will be back in about a year's time.
It's pretty common.
Maybe not. Maybe
you don't. You think about.
They'll be back. I think they'll be.
I hope you are, because Hong Kong grabs you, doesn't it? All the whinging and moaning about stuff, but there is something about this place.
You're on the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Phoenix is our target. We'll see what jobs pop up and stuff. But,
good for you.
Better weather.
Yeah, Phoenix.
It's true, though, isn't it? I mean, have you ever bailed, RJ, thinking that you were going to go back to the States, and then somehow you end up back? The van comes round, you get bundled in, and you're back in Mongkok as soon as you know it.
Right.
Well, the end of 2009, I could have.
Right.
Did you?
When my career left, and they want us to go back to the U.S., we actually made a choice to stay because my wife's career was going great.
You were a corporate guy before.
Yeah, I was a corporate guy.
Which actually must help you immensely with the backroom stuff on this one.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah. So
and this started because of that, because my friends convinced me that my pies were so good I should start a company.
Hey, let's just make an advert. Yeah. I bought the company, but didn't you tell me something about this really was like Mama used to make stuff?
It's all from my mother and my grandmother. I love pie. I actually, if I had a birthday, I'd prefer a pie over a cake. I mean, I have cakes for a birthday, but I would love, a sour cherry lattice pie my mother made, a lemon meringue pie, a pineapple coconut cream pie. She would make these. My dad and I love them.
That's the inspiration. Have you got one? Have you got one of those? One of those sort of stories? You want to share some stuff like how it all started.
Oh yeah. Well, I started probably 8 years old doing fry cook for my mother. I would do rosettes for family, gatherings, or we have a part Mexican, and we have a Mexican feast at our family where all the tortillas have to be fried, and so that was my job, and I started that when I was.
That is a skill though, because frying it's considered the bête noire of food, but you do it properly. Hoo-ah.
Oh yeah. So I got my start there, and I did it for a long time just because I was not interested in higher education and just trying to find my way as a teenager. I thought I was going to be a rock and roll star. That's
Fair
what
enough.
I wanted to be. But then I sort of at 23, 24, 25 looked back and said, you know what, I'm good at this and I like this.
Yeah.
Why don't I do this, right? Why don't I commit myself? So I think I started out earlier than RJ, of course, but I think that's the same thing. You're doing it, you find you like it, you find people like it, and you go, oh,
this is what I'm meant to be doing. Yeah. Do you have that to RJ? Are you were like this is actually what I was meant to be doing?
A pie guy.
I was meant to be a pie guy.
Well,
yeah.
I think.
And the beard.
I think you probably.
I had a trim, and I too many family members making me cut it, so I finally cut it the other day.
Yeah.
I liked it.
He looks
long.
like a pie guy.
Yeah, he does.
I was told this morning driving in, I videoed my parents that I looked like my great uncle, who was an archbishop, because he had a long white beard.
All right, I wouldn't get too carried away about this.
Archbishop
you know.
of Pie.
I kind of feel
The
bad. I
Archbishop.
cut it off now.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice if you enjoy going to work at the end of the day, isn't it?
It helps.
Got to ask you this. I haven't forgotten sandwiches because I really want to do this. Got to ask you this, Chris. Any crazy, embarrassing, etc., stuff? You've met enough public in your career here,
No, I have
Hong
had a
Kong.
pristine
or
career.
funny things.
Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
Yeah, because people are fickle here. Let's put it politely.
Yeah,
that
well,
way.
I mean, there's been all sorts of. There was. I'm trying. I remember one very early on in Dan Ryan's. I used to come out, wander around in the beginning of the evening, and help the receptionist. They'd have to run people to tables, and I'd stand up there greeting people in my chef jacket. And this family came in and said, "Table for 4." And I said, "Sure. Do you have a reservation?" And they said no. And I said, "Get out." And they were so livid. They didn't get the joke at all. And it was the sort of thing I'd play with people all the time. "Oh, get out. You don't no reservation, get out."
That split
They
second
were-
is
yeah.
the
Did
Did
magic.
they leave?
And you could see the change, right?
But did they leave?
No.
Oh.
No, they
That was
complained.
better.
Do you know, any of us would fall for that. Any of us would fall for that because
It's no, they complained, and I got scolded.
Oh, please, that's fantastic, though. That's really unfair.
It happens.
Oh, man. Well, listen, I tell you what, a few more minutes in with these guys.
Can we talk about subs?
Yeah, I want to do do it between you, but because I thought it's, but what is it, 3 meats and 2 cheeses? I don't, remind me.
But the best thing is 6 foot. Any football game, tailgating, anything you do, you need a 6 foot. And a 6
But you
foot
need
is
Italian
really
bread, not French.
no, right. But it's big and
Yeah.
it's huge. And you need a salami.
Yeah.
You need a ham.
Okay.
And
What kind of ham have we got? Baked, boiled? I mean, let's
You
get
can do that.
specific.
That's where you can
it's-
do that
it's
bologna.
baked. No, it's baked. It's usually honey baked ham. It's great with it.
Honey
But you need a
baked,
Genoa
yeah.
salami, and a lot of times you put roast beef on it. A lot of times you put turkey on it, or you put another type of Italian meat on it. But you need lettuce. You need tomatoes. You need onion.
Are you
sometimes
a-
put green pepper on it?
Are you a rocket fan? What do you guys call it? Arugula.
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 Not on the subs. Subs they do iceberg. They cut it really the shredded kind.
lettuce.
And you need jalapenos. You need mustard and oil and vinegar. You need salt
Subway.
and pepper.
Do not say Subway. In
No, you're talking meat this thick,
Yes.
and it's piled. And usually provolone, and sometimes provolone Swiss, or provolone American. That has provolone American, I think, is what it usually is. But the bread has to be good. It has to be good bread. It can't be thin. It has to be hearty, and you cut them in wedges straight across. American
So
subs
the
are the best.
wedge comes out as a sandwich size.
But it's
Do you know?
it's
Do you know?
amazing.
This is awesome, and it's really good to know this stuff. But what about like the hot meats, like pastrami and
So not on a
roast,
sub.
roast
but
beef?
yeah.
Okay, so this is a religious thing. I mean, it has to be X, Y, and Z.
Sub is a sub
No,
is
I
a
said Z. there.
sub is a hot and cold sort of thing, right? It's a little bit of each. The bread is nice and warm. You got a fresh bread. Then you pack all this cold cuts.
Give us
into
yours.
it,
Give
right?
us some more.
Well, I would do ours would have been turkey and ham, or turkey and bacon.
Goes great.
and
Crispy
salami.
bacon and turkey.
You got to have
You
salami.
need salami.
Yeah, you need and we would actually, to be honest, because I'm from Chicago, it would be summer sausage.
Salami.
It wouldn't be salami. It would be summer sausage, which is
Hot dogs.
yeah. No, summer sausage is like a big
Hickory Farms
non-smoked,
type thing.
Salami, right?
It's like Hickory Farm.
Yeah.
That
and
sounds-
then lettuce, tomato, no onions on ours, no onions. But
we do have an onion.
Yeah,
Onion.
Oil-
now,
oil and
let me ask
oil
you
and
this
vinegar
as we go. So, onion.
and mayo.
Is that because
Oh,
it would
mayo too, yeah.
would onion change the profile too much of the sandwich?
Well,
I love it in them, but would
yeah,
it raw too?
it gets
Oh,
pretty
I see
sharp. And that that's one of the things that like Pret is so good at is they look. When we used to do tastings, we would taste sandwiches in 4 different layerings, because what your mouth bites
First.
changes the flavor of the sandwich.
Awesome.
So it's really they go into it in such incredible detail, so that you know, if you put the onion in the right place, it's probably not going to kill the sandwich.
Tell me what you would do. Forget about them. Tell me what you would do here,
For-
because I've thought this myself. You know, where you put the mustard is important because
Yeah,
where
yeah.
your tongue hits first, etc.
Yeah.
How would you
well,
do?
I do top of the bun is oil vinegar, bottom is mayonnaise. I don't do
You don't do mustard. Okay, this is cool.
I like mustard.
I'm really
Then,
learning some stuff here.
Salami, and then provolone, and then I prefer bacon, crispy bacon, and then I prefer American cheddar to American cheese, which is just a
Taste.
little more sharp. Then the turkey. Then I would do lettuce and tomato,
That's it.
and that's it.
Okay, one more
Oil
question.
vinegar.
Well, oil and
the
vinegar
top?
on the top bun.
Where do you put the salt and pepper?
What salt and pepper?
Right. Where do you put it?
Well, if you do oregano as well, if you're doing an Italian version, oregano, a little bit
In-
of salt
in
and
the
pepper.
dressing.
On the,
In the
on the top,
dressing.
yeah.
Hello, that's important, isn't it? Well done. That's fantastic. Give me what you would do here, because I've given you a sub, a hoagie or whatever you call them, bread.
Well, I would do Italian. So I
Go
do
on then.
Genoa salami, prosciutto, and mortadella. And mortadella, those three. So I do bologna, but I do mortadella. And then you do lettuce, tomato, onion, oil and vinegar, little oregano, a little bit of pepper, not really salt, but a little pepper. And that's what I go in. And then, cheese, provolone.
For me, see, mortadella for me, if you don't fry it, it's no good.
Explain
You have to cut it
why.
thin. You have to cut it thin. Mortadella is only good when it's like paper thin.
So good. Same with bologna. It's so good fried, pan fried. Oh,
Yeah, it is. But I like it.
So when what you mean the meat pan fry, not the thing where you put the butter on the outside of
no,
the.
no, pan fried the meat.
But the big thing about mortadella, where so many people get it wrong here, is they cut really thick slices
Right.
or chunks, and it's
it's just
fine,
chewy.
but it's just not. It's not enjoyable. You don't really get the flavor of what the meat is. When you cut it thin, it almost like melt.
See, I thought this was just me being stupid, but now I realise how you layer this thing
But it's
is
also how-
important.
Yeah.
But you know the big thing is, and this is critical, is how you cut the meats.
Yep.
You need to cut the meat the right way. You need to
Cheese
cut 'em the
too.
right. Yeah, you can't do really thick pieces of cheese. It's just not enjoyable. You want the taste. You don't want you want to
Well,
enjoy it.
Think about it like this: if you eat a stack sandwich with all that sliced lunch meat
Yeah.
versus eating a piece of meat, let's say a chicken breast or something, the solid piece of meat is much more al dente, right? You know, it's much more
I
on the
love it
tooth.
sliced. I know what you're saying. I think.
But the slice incorporates air, so it makes it more fluffy. It makes the bite more
Enjoyable.
tender.
Guys, thank you very much for coming.
It's a
Try and come
pleasure.
back one more time before you
Okay.
leave. That'd be
Great.
absolutely awesome. RJ Asher, Chris Gallagher. That is, as we say in the onion business, that's shallot.